So, what do you think? Seductive. That's nice.
It's really good.
Hello everyone, and I'm delighted to welcome you to WOFFF 2020, our love-themed Q&A. My name is Funke Oyebanjo. I'm a screenwriter, script consultant and lecturer, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to the filmmakers who've made these wonderful love-themed films and that you've probably watched or you will watch over the course of the festival. So I'm going to introduce our panelists. So we have the first film, Bronwyn Goes Dancing. We have Christopher Lang, the director. Would you please wave?
Hello.
Okay, thank you very much. We have Shane, the writer of the piece. Please wave. Shane Anderson, thank you very much. And we have Menna, the lead actress in Bronwyn Goes Dancing.
Hello.
Wave, excellent. Okay, and our next film is Older by Vanda Landera. Vanda,
hello.
please wave.
Hello.
Hiya, Vanda. Nice to meet you. And our next film is Becky. And we have two members of the team from Becky. We have Nicola Cross,
hello.
the
Hi.
director. And we also have our lead actress, Becky. Hiya.
Hello.
Hi, Becky. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice
Okay.
meeting you too.
And then we have our fourth film, Anna, directed by Deckel Berenson.
Hey.
Hiya. Hi, Deckel. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. We have our fourth film, Swivel, directed by Lois Norman.
Hi there.
Hi,
Without
Lois.
dancers today. Without dancers, I'm afraid. Just me.
Oh, okay. All right. We're sure we'll bear with you. Okay, for that. And then we have Saving Grace by Siobhan Kavanagh. Sadly, Siobhan can't join us at the moment, but we're hoping that she can join us towards the end of the discussion. And finally, we have The Witch and the Baby, directed by Evgenia Golubeva.
Hi.
Hello, lovely to meet you all. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a very general question, because I was just thinking of the way we've actually programmed you. We've programmed you as love. That's the theme we've programmed you under. Can I ask you first, Christopher and Shane, because you're the writer, was love a consideration, a thematic consideration when you conceptualized the film?
Yes, undoubtedly.
In what way? Because I've seen it and I can see that it's about this woman who comes into her own. But is it a particular sort of love you were exploring?
For me, this was a story of a woman who seemed to have lost so much in her life with the loss of her dog. And the dog was one of her last loves that was gone, and she was heartbroken. And this was suddenly this imagined happening arrived and changed her life and changed her outlook. And that was all about the love of her life coming back to her and talking to her. There could be no more love than that, really. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. How about you, Menna? When you approached the role, I've called you Menna again. Menna.
It's all right.
When you approached the role, was love an overriding theme that you were thinking about as an actress and as you were preparing for the role?
Yes, and I think very often at sort of my age group, they usually think that love does not exist. What they forget is that one day they'll reach there and they think, God, I didn't write it correctly. It is the same, whatever age you are. It's just you're a little bit older, maybe, and a little bit more experienced, but it's love.
Wonderful.
And I think it was well written in that respect. I found it easy to learn because it flowed so well. It was a very enjoyable experience. But I must say, very sorry that our leading man, Tony Wright, unfortunately passed away only the beginning of this year. And he was a great inspiration, a fellow actor, and more than anything, a friend.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Mm.
How about you, Christopher? So you're the director, you've come in, you've looked at the script. When you were framing, when you were thinking of, putting it, these words into a visual piece, yes, was love a consideration? And how did you manage to bring that theme to bear in your visual conceptualization?
Yeah, it was definitely a consideration. It was kind of like a rekindling romance, like a loss and then a reconnection for me. So stylized wise, lots of kind of just basic symbolism of being starting off far and then connecting together.
Okay, were there any, you talked about symbolism and you said, reconnection of love, is that a personal thing for you? Did you bring that into creating it, or was it just the script that spoke to you, or the whole process, that whole filmmaking process that, the actors contributed? What was that whole process for you, and how did you approach it?
Yeah, I think kind of unconsciously, obviously you can't help but draw upon your own experiences, but I think it was all kind of all there from the onset, really. I just had to make sure that it was translated.
Excellent. Older, the film Older, Vanda, you've looked at love. How did you think about it? How did that sort of feed through your conceptualization?
The film Older is basically about loneliness and the human desire to connect with others. In the shape of Alda, which is an ancient spirit of the forest, I explore giving her the qualities and the feelings of a human. So portraying nature as a creature, which is half woman, half nature, to explore the dilemmas that we have in our lives about sometimes being pulled into different directions, the love for the passion you have for example, for the work you do, or taking care of the family, the relationship between man and creatures, man and nature. So yes, love is really at the core of Alda.
Okay, thank you for that. Nicola, I know that you've got in a sense, the way you've looked at it, because it's a documentary, love was part of it, but when you were putting pen to paper and then meeting Becky, was love a huge consideration when you were putting this together?
Well, actually, it's interesting because when I saw that you put it in the love section, I was like, love? What? I was kind of, okay, better go and watch it again. And then Becky actually does say love. But in looking back, I think, I mean, I was doing some films with some NGOs on female genital mutilation. And then I, by chance, met the amazing Becky. We were staying in the same Airbnb. She's my hostess, with the mostess. And she was listening to my conversations on the telephone. And then one day she sort of said, oh, I've got something to say. And then she told me her story. But in looking at it now, I think it's really about women learning to love ourselves. So I think it's that kind of love. And I thought, oh, it actually is a love, story. And in terms of the expectations on women and the way we feel and our self-doubt, I think it is actually about us learning to love ourselves within the environment and the social norms and gender biases. So yes.
So it's interesting that you found that it was about love after creating it.
Yesterday.
and not before. What were your ideas? I mean, what was the overriding theme when you were conceptualizing it?
Well, I think Becky's just such a powerful human being and a woman. And I think while she's powerful, she's also vulnerable, which I think is part of her power. And so I think it's been a journey for both Becky and myself. And the reason that I sort of started making it was, I think, because of her power, just connected. But also that she said, I remember her saying, I knew that I would never be as good as anyone else. I knew I would never be as good as the woman next to me when I was waiting for the traffic lights to change and cross the street. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have my clitoris and I feel like that. We're standing here in Kenya. I'm actually from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Our lives theoretically are poles apart, and yet we have that same feeling of not being good enough and maybe not loving ourselves enough. And so that's what, so basically Becky is what struck me.
Okay, the wonderful Becky, I'm coming to you now. And, you heard the telephone conversations. What was it about Nicola's telephone conversations that sort of brought you to her, and why did you want to make this film with her?
So as I listened to, or rather eavesdropped to her conversations, and I had, she was actually sort of debriefing. So she would go to the field and have these harrowing experiences. And as a Kenyan, I know it's rather commonplace in the region where she was doing her field work. So I sort of empathized with her, just listening at, she needed to debrief with someone else who was not in Kenya. And I thought, for a couple of days, I thought about telling her that even I can, share something that would probably put you at ease, because you'd be able to relate with it better, especially because at that point I had done the reversal surgery. So I just wanted to give her the full picture and, sort of shed some hope, because all she was doing is getting a picture of these girls who are in a really, not a good place. So I didn't know whether she knew that there's a reversal process, and it helps people to regain their identity and self-worth. So that's the part that made me talk to her. I just wanted her to know there is another side to the story. But obviously the film took a life of its own, and it became this very deep, reflective journey. And as Nicola says, even I never thought about it as a love film at all. So I was as surprised as she was at the classification. And then it hit me, wait, even accepting to do that film was showing myself, like the second gesture, besides signing up for the surgery, was like the second gesture of showing myself the deepest sense of self-love. Because I sort of, through that film, relived those experiences and did a sort of a purge of its kind. And we filmed over a long period, and just in a very relaxed way. We went for retreats and camping and whatnot. So it was a very therapeutic process for me. And it's only now in retrospect that I'm able to look at it as a journey of self-love that was, totally necessary for that journey. At that point when we started filming in 2018, it was 1 year after the surgery. And it had been 16 years since the cut itself. So there was a whole, and also just to put love into context, it was 2018 was 2 years after I had lost my husband. So it was a whole concoction. It was a gift of self-love to myself to do that introspective and retrospective journey, to sort of give myself the compassion that I hadn't afforded myself through all those 15 years of hating myself and putting myself down over and above what society had already denied me. So now I'm able to look at it as love.
Which is, it's wonderful to be able to sort of reflect that back and think about it. It was self-love, but now it's even a broader thing, which can actually affect other women, which is a wonderful gift to give to other people. Deckel, we've just talked about a documentary, and love came through after the event. Now with the drama, was love a huge consideration when you were conceptualizing this drama?
I think, Anna, there is so many different themes that go through the story, and definitely in the basis of it is Anna being sort of middle-aged single mother who is living in East Ukraine just with her daughter and looking for a mate, looking for not to get away from her loneliness, not to be alone. But then if you've seen, people who've seen the film, this is connected to the other theme of the story itself, of this party that she hears an advertisement for, and it's a party for foreign men that come to Ukraine to look for a partner, but that brings sort of all sorts of other complications and currents to the story about the wealthy Americans who come to Ukraine to look for a wife to bring back to the US. So it's definitely a big part of the story, and it's connected to all the other elements in the film.
Does she, you know, because we've talked about the whole idea of people going through this journey, and at the end, you know, I think of the film, did you, when you were writing it, did you feel a big sort of impetus to put self-love, not just romantic, but self-love into that journey, Anna's journey?
I think that in big part, it's her, in the end, it's sort of her acceptance of her situation. And I think the kind of the message of the film in the end, that it's better just to like sometimes accept your, you know, your life condition and situation and not look for some fantasy in some other place. So definitely that's a big part of it.
Yeah, self-acceptance. Thank you. Lois, Swivel, was love a consideration?
Yes, love is always a consideration with my work, I think. Primarily and interestingly, listening to everybody else, post-traumatic stress has been with me for a very long time in my life, and that need for connection, I think, with yourself first and foremost, is something that I wanted to explore in the film, deliberately not with words but with dances and with the body, and very much the physical, and that sense of having to literally turn around and look at yourself and all the things that block you from connecting with yourself in order to then connect with somebody else. And I wanted to do that in a space of intimacy, really, and where there was nowhere to hide. So it was very, very much at the forefront of what I wanted to try and achieve when I asked Henry and Rachel, who are the dancers in it, if they would come on the journey with me.
That's wonderful. And Evgenia, how about you in terms of The Witch and the Baby? I know it's a retelling of a tale, and I'd like you to talk about that a bit, but was love a huge consideration when you were writing and directing this film?
Yeah, definitely was. I guess the film was born really like me and my husband, we used to sit in a coffee shop, and when our daughter was born, we kind of found parenthood quite hard, and it kind of included quite a lot of very difficult moments, and you still love your children, but they do bring quite a lot of interesting moments to your life, and we kind of were trying to find a comedy way of telling the story about this amazing feeling of how much you love them, at the same time how difficult your life becomes. So I guess Witch and the Baby, we used kind of classical characters like Queen and the King, and as a metaphor really for, I mean, quite a straightforward metaphor for real life. And actually, once the animatic was finished, I looked at it and realized that it didn't have the moment of the heart where Witch discovers that her heart, she has a heart. And I thought, I really need this. I was showing it through the eyes, but I don't think it worked. So then I had this idea to just show that how her heart was filled with butts and things, and then suddenly kind of this feeling fills her in, and she actually falls in love with a little princess. So yeah, I guess it's a big part of the story.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I just want to ask you, because we've looked at love, and we've not looked at it, but we've sort of discussed elements of it. We've talked about parental love, we've talked about self-love, and we've talked about this idea that we have to reconnect. Now, we didn't know, when you made this, we didn't know a pandemic was on its way. We had no idea. How, if we look at what you've made and where you've come from, the journey you were at when you were writing and making it, and where you're at now, people that are watching this what is the one thing you want them to take away from your film, that you want it to sort of linger with them, haunt them for days, or possibly come back as a reoccurring memory at some point in the future? What would that one thing be? And I'm just going to, again, go through the order of the films and the order of the filmmakers. So I'm going to start with you, Shane. As a writer, what is the one thing you would like WOFFF audiences to take away with them for the rest of their lives, that one thing?
Oh, wow. Yeah. That love can help you survive tragedy, I suppose. That would be, yeah, that love can, whether that's self-love, whether that is love for others, love for those who are no longer with you, it can survive tragedy.
And so does that mean that, you know, sorry, I'm sort of interjecting here, but does that mean you're saying that we can survive tragedy, and if we can survive tragedy, we can survive other things, like we have more resilience possibly? Is that what you're saying?
I think love gives a certain resilience and brings a resilience. And I don't think everybody finds, find that some people find love difficult. True, deep love difficult. I mean, and I've been so lucky in my life. I have had so much love, so much. And it has helped me survive so much. And so, yeah.
And that's come through your writing. How about you, Christopher? What is the one thing, as the director of this wonderful piece, that you want audiences to take away with them forever and ever?
Forever. Quite like about this piece, which is potentially poignant at the moment, is that it's a connection with a person that isn't there. Just like you and I aren't in the same space, but we are still communicating. So I don't know what the soundbite of that is, but it's that. I suppose you can even be connected to a memory of someone. They don't actually have to be there, as long as you retain that, the memory of the person they are still alive. There you go.
That's wonderful, actually. So it's just making me think of memory. So memory is important. How about you, Menna? What is the one thing that you perform that you want the audience that watch you perform this wonderful film, and you've led this wonderful film? What is the one, core idea? I shouldn't even say core idea. The one thing you want your audience to take away from what?
That love never dies, really, and it goes on and can make you stronger, and it's something that everyone at some time in their lives goes through, but it's very difficult to hang on to when they've gone or something like that. But you have to do it. You have to be stronger, and it's part of everyone's life. And I think it's the strongest thing in life too. Love is very strong and guides us through our lives and our disappointments.
Gosh, this is supposed to be a film Q&A, and it sounds like, a therapist couch, and I didn't intend for that to happen. But thank you, because those are really, really poignant answers. And no pressure on the other filmmakers. But Vanda, what is the one thing you would like your audiences to take away from your gorgeous film?
It's interesting, when I was writing the director's statement, and it was before the pandemic, I asked the question my question was, what if nature took over and pressed the pause button? And interesting enough, 6 months later, the world came to a pause. So it's connected with the messages. Let's be connected with everything around us and treat it with love, because the way we are interacting with the environment, even though everyone loves nature, we are sometimes running in a rat race and not being very mindful and not aware of everything we do and the impact it has, and it will return back to us. So it's an individual journey of connection with ourselves by being connected with nature, by being connected with others. So it's really that reflection that it's in us to feel that love and live accordingly.
And it looks like you're talking about the power of possibility. that there is possibility, and you know, in a sense, yeah, there is a power of possibility. That's what seems to come across. Am I right, or am I putting
Yes,
words in your mouth?
no, absolutely right. Is there's choices. There's always a choice, and every day it's also the choices you make. They will come back to us. So it's that sense of individual responsibility, not throwing that responsibility to governments, to groups, to activists, but it's about you and be connected, and it's all about love for yourself, love for others.
Excellent, thank you for that. Nicola, what is the one lingering thought you would want your audiences to take away from your documentary?
Well, it's funny because I first thought I don't want them to take away what I want them to take away. So, but then I sort of felt the word resilience is one that's very important to me, and I think it's amazing when I see human beings, especially women, face things, and the things that they actually go through and they overcome, and they don't even know that sometimes they don't feel, it doesn't seem as though they even aware of how amazing they are. And so I don't know that it's a word, although it's around resilience, but it's about feeling something. And I think that's the amazing thing about Becky, the woman, is that's what I felt from Becky. And that's what I continue to feel from Becky. Every time she or I face something, there's that feeling that makes me be able to do the next thing or to go on. And I think it's about that. It's about, again, another word was connection, but it's about the viewer feeling that they can, or that somewhere it whatever it is inside them. Yeah.
So wonderful. No, it's great. How about you, Becky? Because you're the wonderful Becky. So you're in this film. In a sense, you take us on this wonderful journey. What is the one thing, you're on mute, by the way, oh, you've come up. What is the one thing you would like audiences watching your journey to take away?
I think I have thrown this statement a lot when I chat with Nicola, that there's a whole lot of burden and expectations that are placed on women, you know, world over. And, you know, like, you're not woman enough unless you behave this way or run your life this way or choose this career. There is no end to that kind of expectation. And so what I would love, you know, people to take from this is that I think for every woman, at least once in their lifetime, it's important to take a step back out of and look at their sociocultural situation, you know, from a removed perspective, and appreciate what kind of impact it's had on them, both negative and positive. And from there, forge their own emancipatory path, and the destination of that emancipation being to a place where you love yourself more than anyone else ever will. And then you go on with your life from that perspective, that it doesn't matter what society thinks or whatever else. You just need to get to that point and then run the rest of your life, career or family from that position of I am loved very deeply by me before anyone else.
Thank you. That's really, again, very, very inspirational. Lois, now you. What is the one thing, you know, through dance, you know, I know you were looking at intimacy connection. What is the one thought you want your audiences that watch that wonderful dance between those two dancers to take away, that lingering thought you want them to have?
Yeah, I think the words I have at the end is love is not a gender, it's a swivel of the heart. And that was because I was dealing with gender dynamics then and not having to lean upon something that's sort of like there always. But also read, you know, love is not whether you're rich or poor or black or white or man or a woman. Love, everybody deserves love. It's not a commodity that is outside ourselves that people tell you you deserve or you do not deserve. It is something within ourselves that we owe to ourselves to take with us. And I think we're so fed sometimes and believe sometimes that somehow we have to earn it.
Yeah.
When all we have to do really is nurture it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. And Evgenia, what's the one thought that you want? Because I know you talked about parenting, you talk about how difficult it is, but yet we love our children. But the one thought you want your audiences to take away from your wonderful film?
I guess it's to be able to step away for a second and actually have a good giggle and a smile at all the problems you face. And actually, because when years pass and you realize that there weren't really big problems, obviously you're sleep deprived and you're not quite thinking straight, but then like years later you look at this picture and think, oh my gosh, they were so cute. I didn't even notice. So I guess it's just being able to laugh, like to smile at this kind of problems. And yeah, like I guess comedy, it's what I like comedy. It's when it meets life and actually shows the experiences we all have, and it allows us to actually have a good laugh at it.
Good, thank you. I just want to say thank you all to all the filmmakers and the panelists that have joined us, because the work is phenomenal, and it's brilliant. And what they've said, everything that you've mentioned is making us think about where we're at as human beings and the way forward. And thank you. And I'm glad that it's artists like you that help us to look again, reflect again, and think about how we move forward. So I'm just going to do a little plug here, because we have to do this, and it's for the filmmakers as well as yourselves. So we're all culturally enriched by the process. Please don't forget to vote for the Audience Choice Award. We don't know, maybe one of our panelists may walk away with it. So it's in all of our interests to vote. It's really important. So please vote for the Audience Choice winner and take advantage of the platform. We have lots of internationally acclaimed films, and as you can hear, just from looking at the array of stories and the array of filmmakers and where the films come from and the genres of films, there's so much to choose from. So please tune into our films from the 26th of September to the 30th. Just watch. I know the lockdown is eased, but just take advantage and watch these fantastic, unusual films, because it's not every day that we get these stories. So take advantage, watch, enjoy, reflect. So from me here at WOFF 2020, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from my panelists. Thank you. Bye.